Three major 1985 events that are repeating itself in Buhari's present administration. This is written by former lawmaker Senator Shehu Sani. President Muhammadu Buhari's administration is one that has been loaded with a litany of eventful moments since he assumed office in 2015. Some of these events have been described as repeat times and moments of the president's stay in office when he served the country as the military head of state between 1983 and 1985 by a former lawmaker, Shehu Sani. Sani, who represented Kaduna Central in the 8th Senate, in a recent post on Twitter, a microblogging site made a list of three major events in both the 1983 to 1985 regime of Buhari and his present administration. One of it is this: number one, closing the border. In 1984, the General Muhammadu Buhari-led military regime closed Nigerian land borders against all the nation's neighbors within the ECOWAS region and the ECCAS Economic Community of Central African States. Again, in August 2019, the federal government led by President Buhari ordered the closure of Nigerian land borders. The closure, the federal government said, is the clampdown on the illegal importation of drugs, arms, and agricultural products into Nigeria from neighboring countries in West Africa. This particular closure lasted for over a year when the federal government ordered the reopening of 4 land borders in December 2020. So one of it is closing the borders. And the reason for closing the border, this is my explanation now, they said they want to control the importation of drugs, arms, and agricultural products. But did the closing of border work? It didn't work. And they closed the border in the south. Meanwhile, the border in the north was porous. They were smuggling rice from the Nigeria Republic into Nigeria by Okada. And they said they closed border. So how did they close the border? They moved all the custom officers, all the border security agencies to the south between Lagos, Cotonou, and Ogun State, Cotonou. You understand? So at the end of the day, the closing of border here this time around didn't work. And they finally opened it. They said they closed the border. Meanwhile, the ISWAP found their way straight into Nigeria to join the Boko Haram to cause mayhem in Nigeria. So how did they close the border? He has always been hypocritical in this closing of borders. So let's see the number 2 thing here. Number 2 is redesigning of the Naira. Now, to put a stop to the hoarding of Nigeria's local currency by alleged corrupt politicians of the Second Republic, the General Buhari Idiagbon-led government redesigned the Naira in 1985. As the head of the state at the time, Buhari ordered new Naira notes to tackle the challenges created by corruption at the time. In the same vein, on October 26, the governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele, announced the plan by the federal government to redesign the Naira again. Emefiele, in his declaration, said that the redesign of the notes is aimed at controlling inflation and combating activities of criminal elements behind the financing of terror activities across the country. According to CBN governor, the new Naira notes will be in circulation from December 15, and all existing old and new currencies are to remain legal tender until January 31st. In addition, Emefiele said the old notes will cease to be legal tender for the nation by January 31st. So the same thing that he did in 1985, that is Buhari's government, led by Buhari Idiagbon group, they redesigned Naira. I remember that time when people were struggling to take the small money they have to the bank to change, to get the new notes. I remember very well, vividly, right? Now, number 3 is Umaru Dikko and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's repatriation. Shehu said in his list also that the repatriation of Umaru Dikko, a northern politician and an advisor to President Shehu Shagari, and that of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, are similar. Diko, who served as a minister for transportation from 1979 to 1983, fled into exile in London following a military coup which ousted the government of Shehu Shagari. Now, he was accused by the military regime led by General Buhari, retired, of corruption and embezzlement of millions of dollars from Nigeria's oil revenues while in office as transport minister. Shortly after, he was discovered drugged in a crate at Stansted Airport that was being claimed as diplomatic baggage on July 5, 1984. The said crate was headed to Lagos, Nigeria, in what many described as a government-sanctioned kidnapping that was then foiled by the British government. Also, on June 30, 2021, news filtered in that the leader of IPOB has been arrested by Nigerian authorities in Kenya. No, it's June 30, 2021. So speaking on his arrest, a brother to the IPOB leader, Prince Kanu, while demanding justice for Nnamdi, said his brother has been subjected to extraordinary rendition by the government of Kenya and Nigeria. In his words, he said, they have violated the most basic principles of the rule of law. Extraordinary rendition is one of the most serious crimes states can commit. Both Nigeria and Kenya must be held to account. I demand justice for my brother, Nnamdi Kanu. So these are the three things that Shehu Sani is writing that happened in Buhari's government of 1984 and has also repeated itself at this time. One is closing the border, which didn't add value as at this time because they said they were trying to fight insecurity. They closed the border in the south, and then in the north, all the Malians terrorists and the terrorists from the Niger Republic and all other Islamic West African countries, all of them found their way into Nigeria to support the Fulanis and the cattle rearers, hustlers to conduct mayhem on the people of Nigeria, claiming their farmlands. It was when he closed the border that terrorism increased. The Boko Haram activities in the north increased. All right, it was at that same time that the Cameroonian authorities had to help fight the insurgents of Boko Haram from Nigeria into Cameroon. Meanwhile, Nigerian government is not able to do anything. We understood that Cameroonian president participated in that fight. All right, he had to wear, or is it Chadian president? He had to wear army uniform and went to the battlefield to chase the Boko Haram. But meanwhile, in Nigeria, we were pampering them. We were recruiting them back into the military. All right. So closing the border didn't work. It was one-sided. It was lopsided, just like Buhari's political appointment have also been lopsided. It has been favoritism to the Fulanis and to the descendants of Usman and Fodio in his government. Right. The second one was redesign of Naira. Now they say they're going to redesign Naira just like it happened at that time. How can you redesign Naira? Can the design of Naira add value to the exchange power of Naira in the Committee of Currencies in the world? Is it the biggest problem that we have now? Is it to prevent people that are sponsoring terrorism? Now, since he started redesign of Naira, has it helped? The question now is, this one now that the politicians are moving money in money bags, all right, both in Naira and in dollars, to buy vote, to buy delegates, and to do everything. Is that not part of the problem that we have? And what have we done to correct that? Even the Emefiele himself, that is redesigning the Naira, when it was time to conduct APC primaries, he was hoping to be Nigerian president. He bought ticket. He went and bought over, 100 or 10,000 vehicles for campaign and stacked all of them there. When he saw the way the primary was going, that he was not going to win anything, he pulled out of the race because they were asked that if they are going to participate in the primaries, then they have to resign from their current office that they're holding. Amechi resigned as a Minister for Transport and lost both the primaries and the office. Now he's irrelevant. So Emefiele smartly refused to resign and then had to forfeit his plan or his agenda for the APC primaries as incoming president. Now, what has happened to all those cars he bought? Where did he get money to buy those cars? And nobody is asking all those questions. And now he's resigning Naira to stop money laundering and sponsorship of terrorism in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the terrorists, did they tell them how they getting their money? They've been kidnapping and collecting money from people. All right, and government has not been able to see them how they are collecting the money. All right, and they said they were creating NIN so that they can track the phone number of terrorists and kidnappers and bandits. Up till now, how many kidnappers and bandits have they arrested using the NIN as a tool? It had never happened. So the government is just playing lip service in everything. All right, everything they are doing is lip service. Now, thirdly, is the kidnapping of Nnamdi Kanu, similar to the arrest of Umaru Diko in 1984 or 1985 or so, when he was to be sent back from, when he went on exile in London, and he was to be returned back to Nigeria by the Buhari Idiagbon government for corruption cases. So Buhari is antecedent is closing of border, is resign of Naira currency, and also kidnapping of people from abroad back to Nigeria. That is what Shehu Sani is trying to enumerate here. But how has that helped the government? How has that helped the Nigerian state? It has not helped. In fact, it continues to ridicule the Nigeria as an entity. So what you have to say, this is what a memory lane that Shehu Sani is taking us through with respect to Buhari's regime in government. So make your comment below and identify other things that Buhari has been known for as when he was in power in 1984, that is also repeating in his government at this moment. Thank you for listening.